What's going on, boxing fans? Julian Williams with the distance. Got a video for you guys today. Another fantasy matchup here. This one is Ruslan Chagaev versus Michael Moore. Heavyweight bout. Two southpaw heavyweights. I believe, and it was pointed out to me as well, that Chagaev and Moore are more than likely the only two southpaws to become heavyweight champions. Michael Moore being the first southpaw to become heavyweight champion in 1994 after he fought Evander Holyfield, and Chagaev, I believe, became a champion like 2006, 2007 against Nikolai Valuev. But overall, interesting bout, because two southpaw heavyweights, and as well, you have 90s heavyweight, and the heavyweight from now, and now you have to think how they do competing against each other. Michael Moore, former light heavyweight champion, WBO, won it like in the 80s. He was a beast at light heavyweight. You don't ever hear me say stuff like that, but he was a beast at light heavyweight. He put forward some very action-packed fights and very entertaining knockouts. It was just very, I guess, relentless, and he got to that point at 175 to where he could only eat about 900 calories a day to maintain his weight and maintain being at light heavyweight. He could only eat 900 calories a day just to do that, and not to mention he had to do training as well. But Michael Moore, under the tutelage of Manny Stewart, it was just, and at the same time, what I saw with Michael Moore, I saw a little bit of similarities with Gerald McClellan. They both were very relentless, and they knew how to attack. And other than that, they both fought under Manny Stewart, so that's something that's going to stand out. And I never really hear any comparisons of Michael Moore at light heavyweight and Gerald McClellan, who was a middleweight and super middleweight. Really haven't been any comparisons to them, but I just seen similarities in those styles. And he moved up north in the 90s, had a good string of victories, and I believe was undefeated, and faced Evander Holyfield, beat him to a split decision. But at heavyweight, Michael Moore looked a bit soft. I'm not saying as a soft fighter, but he just looked very soft around the belly, and I thought he should have fought maybe at cruiserweight. I thought maybe cruiserweight was good. Let him grow into that frame, or let him grow out of it, and then move up or something. But he didn't. He skipped cruiserweight, moved up to heavyweight, and Michael Moore, showed at heavyweight that he had good. That not only was he this relentless puncher, he could box as well, and he went under Teddy Atlas, and Teddy Atlas kind of broke him down, and he became less of this exciting fighter, and became more of a boxer than a fighter. And at the same time, he showed that he could fight as well. But the problem with Michael Moore was he's an asshole and a jerk, and he's an underachiever as well. And I just think that his confidence level is very low. And Ruslan Chagaev, very good boxer, puncher. I think me personally, I do think a lot of people are considering him a bum because of the fight with Vladimir Klitschko. A lot of people were talking about how Chagaev was a bum, but there were some people before the fight that were talking about, wow, this is a good fight. Chagaev is one of the top heavyweights. And then some of these people are the same people saying that Chagaev was a bum after the fight, which is interesting. But he is a good boxer puncher. He is, he is practically, I think he's a smart fighter. But sometimes when you're a smart fighter, there's always that fighter that's smarter than you, or just as smart as you. And Chagaev, when he fought Klitschko, didn't face a fighter, and you could argue John Ruiz, but just never faced a fighter who's just as smart as him. And that was Vladimir Klitschko. Vladimir was smarter. And you could be the smartest fighter, but if you don't know how to utilize your tools to your advantage, then really, the only way to win is practically by luck. By luck and maybe more than likely skill. And I've been talking too much about both fighters, but anyway, in a fight like this, Michael Moore, who at heavyweight showed his ability to box and showed his ability to do other things with his boxing, show interchangeability within his style. I think in this fight he'll box against Chagaev. I do think will continue to press forward, and he does use his jab very well to press forward. He uses the southpaw jab. Sometimes he gets a straight left hand to the body. Sometimes he gets the right hand over the top. Sometimes he gets the left hook in. And Chagaev, kind of stands. He has his feet at a wide base, but his feet have to be planted so that he can get his shots off. And Michael Moore, most of the time, majority of the time, moved around. Used the jab. Kept his range. Used the jab and move around. But sometimes he'd stand there and he'd fight with you. And I'm not only talking about the Foreman fight, but there's just times he stood there and fight and wouldn't move. And that was a major flaw, if you ask me, especially if he was fighting a big puncher. Sometimes you have to move, you have to box, use the jab, slip the left hand in, sneak it in, and against Chagaev, you can only wonder, will the left hand be there for Michael Moore? And I think it could be. I think he did do a good job of kind of sneaking it in at times, and at the same time, I do think that his boxing ability, under both Manny Stewart and Teddy Atlas, showed that he could change his style up. Ruslan Chagaev, on the other hand, I really never seen an interchangeability within his style. I've seen him adjust in fights, but I think he utilized his tools to adjust himself in these fights and adapt and kind of make little tweaks, but overall change his fighting style. I haven't seen it from Chagaev. Just overall come out, do something, and not necessarily work your way towards something like he did against Valiev, but I just never seen him kind of just completely change and do something completely different. I've never seen him do that. But I think that Michael Moore I just think he outboxes Ruslan Chagaev to a unanimous decision. I just think that Michael Moore was the better boxer. I think that he would keep his range from Chagaev, but you would have to wonder if he would stand and fight with him. But me, I'm just going to go with Michael Moore, because Chagaev is not the puncher that Foreman is, so I think he can get away with it. So anyway, that was the distance. Thanks for watching. Peace.